Yo, what up? It's your boy Earl. This is the third video in the series. We talked about battery safety, we talked about Ohm's law. Now I'm gonna show you how to do some basic builds. Okay? So I'm gonna show you like a parallel and a dual coil, and that is it. Okay? We will apply the Ohm's law to this because I will be using a mech. Okay, I'll be using a mech mod. So let's dive down and let me show you guys how to build your first basic coils, okay? Hello boys and girls. So it's time to build. It's time to prep for your first build, right? What you'll be needing is a pair of ceramic tweezers, okay? A basic coiling rod. If you don't have a coiling rod, you can use a 3mm screwdriver. It's up to you guys. I personally prefer a 3.5. That's a 3.5. Okay. I'll be using wire cutters, like some nice thin and small wire cutters to get easy access. Of course, cotton. I use Japanese organic cotton, but it's up to you. Whatever you prefer, you can use that. Some scissors, an RDA, a mod. I'll be using a mech mod. Your elbow tweezers, and quite possibly, just quite possibly, long nose pliers. It never hurts to have them around. And the wire I'll be using today is 23 gauge for one specific reason alone. Okay, so you can see it. Because if I use a thinner gauge, you guys might not be able to see what I'm doing. So don't use 23 gauge on these builds. Okay, this is just for example. Plus, I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. I know how the ohms will count out. And of course, guys, if you have an available ohm reader, please use an ohm reader or a regulated mod just to get your resistances correct, okay? I already know the resistance that's going to come out of this because I've been doing this build for a while now. It should ohm out to about a 0.11 or 0.11. And it's a very low build, so guys, don't do this with 23 gauge. I would prefer that you guys use a 26 gauge so you can get the resistance of 0.15, 0.15 ohms. As I discussed in my previous video, that is the safest, lowest build for a beginner. Now, if you're looking at this, I'm also using a high drain battery. Okay, I got one installed already in the mod. I just needed to show you that. Now, let's get the tools out of the way. Okay, so I'll be using this Warrior RDA. Of course, I've already mixed and matched the parts because that's who I am and that's what I am, right? I like the custom stuff, okay? I'll be using this deck specifically because it's easier. You just need to slide in the coils and everything, and it's a clamp style guillotine deck. Now, I'll be using a 3.5 so you guys can see, okay? So you guys can actually see what I'm doing. So I'll be building maybe this close to the camera so you guys can actually watch as I twist or wrap the wires. So what you're gonna do, right, is get your wires. You may need like 6 or 8 inches depending on how many wraps you're using. I already got this down to a complete like feeling. I just need to feel, and I feel the build, I feel the length that I need. So I got this much, right? I'm gonna be doing 5 wraps. Okay, with you guys, you should be using 26 gauge. I'm using 23 gauge. This is dangerously low, so don't use 23 gauge. I repeat, do not use 23 gauge. This is dangerously low for beginners. Okay, so most people just like put it in here, in this hole, and then wrap it. But for me, I'm already used to it, so I just like place my fingers here. And for most who don't have the coil jig, they're using a screwdriver, you can do this exact same method. Right? You just press this down here, and then you can pull. Right? Keep some tension on it. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you want to keep some tension on it all the time. And if you guys can see, there's some loose ends. Don't worry about those loose ends. Okay, I'll show you an easy fix. if there's any loose ends on your wires, you just need to get your long nose pliers. Right? Hold this down and then just give it a nice pull. Right? Nice and tight. Just pull that. Just pull on it. Should get you your tight wraps, right? You can push this down, pull it from this side, pull it from that side, and you've completely adjusted your coil. You guys can see that? The coil is completely adjusted. Now, a lot of people, they don't know what length to cut the wires. Here's a basic guide. If you can see this, the edge, if you have a coil jig, you can cut from there, a little bit lengthy, and then one leg should be longer than the other. Okay? One leg should be longer than the other. Just install it, slide that in, slide that in, keep some distance, okay? Keep some distance from your posts, because you don't want them touching your posts. Right. And then let's install another coil. Just to be safe, 8 to 10 inches, right? Put those two together at the end, make a loop, right? You made a loop, put this on the edge of whatever you're using, a screwdriver, a drill bit, right? Press down with your thumb, get those together like this, right? Side by side, and then just pull some tension on it and wrap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's a 5 wrap. I always do this. I always take the pliers to it and just give that a tension pull. I give this a tension pull, just to make sure that my wraps are nice and tight. Okay? They don't need to look perfect every single time, because you can push on the end like this, right? Pull it back out. This is how you adjust your coils. And you can see these are perfectly pristine, tight, parallel coils. Again, with the cutting, you keep that a little bit lengthy with this, right? You cut this leg longer, just so it's easier to insert. Right? You go slide this in this side, slide this in that side. That's how easy that was, right? Don't stress out about how the coils look. Like, you don't need them perfect every single time. Just need them nice and tight to get that even firing, okay? When you get them evenly firing, that will avoid hot spots of any kind. So now that I've placed my coils like this, with some distance to the deck or to the posts, all I need to do is tighten down just a little bit tight, okay? You don't want them fully cranked down. You just want some tension on it. Just want some tension going on. Just there you go. So I got some tension on it, not tight, okay? As you can see, you can still move this, right? Get my coil jig in. I get my coil jig in. Okay, let me just bring it up closer. Get my coil jig in. Get them straight, like this. Right, get this straight here. Position them the way I want to. That's what he said. There. So now that I got them perfectly positioned the way I wanted to, that's when I fully crank down on the tension. Now these coils will stay in place, and I have my build completed. Again, keep in mind, they don't need to be perfect. Okay, if you want them spaced, you can space them. This is just the way I prefer them. Come in with your wire cutters, snip that, Okay, I always keep my thumb on the excess wire when I cut them, so they don't jump like everywhere, hit my eye, hit somebody else's eye. That's a no-no. Okay, now I unlock this. Of course, I already have the battery inside. Okay, this is what you always have to do. So you get your ceramic tweezers, right? Always check your coils before you put the cotton in. Okay, you fire them. Yeah, see? Now with nichrome, like I do, you fire them a bit. You see, you get those beautiful blue colors. I don't know if you guys can see that. You get those beautiful blue and gold hints, some rainbow colors in there. And that's how you do for Instagram. That's how you do it for Instagram, right? So you just want to pulse it a little. Glow your coils, right? Get them nice and even. Even Steven. And if your coils are too spaced for your tastes, what you can do is like you can dry fire them while pressing, because these are ceramic, right? And you can get them nice and even like this. And now that they're even, see, they're firing even now, nice and even. I'll just like do some minor adjustments, such as tweaking it like this, positioning them at the proper height that I want. Right? After I do this, of course, I'll have to re-inspect if they're firing together. See, they're not firing together now. I need to readjust. You can do this step, just have to be patient with it, right? Come in, come out, even them out, as such. Okay, they're still not firing evenly. Now I need to use my pliers just to like reposition this, reposition that. And now they're firing evenly. Okay? That's how you want them firing, perfectly even. Now with the wicking, okay, there is a lot of techniques that you can use with wicking. There's a lot of different kinds of cotton that you can use. Cotton bacon prime. You have, I don't know what you're using, Western wicks, or I don't know. I prefer Japanese organic cotton just because, well, I like the fluffiness. I like the way that it absorbs. I like the way, like, I just basically been using this for a long time. I've tried a lot of different wicking, and for me, like, this is my personal preference, okay? Japanese organic cotton. Now, since I'm using a 3.5 millimeter, right, I'll be cutting these a little bit thicker than usual because it's a 3.5, right? You just want to guesstimate. Usually, it's just the length of your, what do you call this? The fingernail. It's just the length of your fingernail in width. But if it's a 3.5, it's the length of it's the width of the whole pinky. That's my like, judgment basis. So just give it a nice fluff out like this, right? Roll up the end. Some people prefer to peel off the ends. I don't, because I use really hot coils. Like this one's a 0.0 something, 0.11. Okay, so it's a really low, really hot build. I might want to check the lock on this just because, right? There we go, it's locked. You pull that in. Okay, pull that in. Keep that secure. Maybe just fluff that out a little bit. Give it a nice cotton massage. Right? The other side, do the same thing. Right, get that wick. Roll it up. Insert side A, insert side B. Give it a little pull. It's just nice and smooth, right? Give it a little massage. Loosen up those fibers. Cut off the rolled up end. And that's basically it. But for me, I go the extra mile. and use my elbow tweezers, just give them a brush out, right? This actually does help with capillary action. You're pulling out the fibers in one direction, and you're removing all the excess cotton, so that loosens it up a bit, right? Pulls out all the fibers towards this direction that I'm brushing it in. That also helps you like hold a lot more juice. See that much cotton? Then I get my handy dandy scissors. Then I just cut as close as I can to the edge of the deck. See how fluffy that cotton is? Nice and fluffy. It's nice and fluffy. Get that. Just jam it in like here. Get this. Put it in there. Keep this underneath the coil free so the air can pass. Keep this here. Keep this here. Okay. When you insert that in the deck, of course, just so your air can pass, make that space. As you can see, there's space here, so air can pass through there, air can pass through there. Perfect. Okay. Juice them up. And because I'm using a mech mod, just because, for the sole purpose of using a mech mod, I'm not going to use the same batteries that I dry fired with. Let me just remove those batteries, remove that battery. Okay, I'm going to use a secondary battery. I'm going to lock that. Always safety procedures, and as said, I always say battery safety. See, it just took a few seconds, but at least the battery that I used to dry fire, that was kind of warm. Put that aside, put that aside. Put that on the charger maybe. This is a fresh battery in this mod. It's not hot. Juice this up. Pulse a little bit. Right? Yeah. Juice it up a little bit again on the sides. Just saturate that cotton. That's about like 1.5 mil, and that's about 2 mil. And you got your coils. Okay? That's a simple parallel build, and that's a dual coil build. So let's go back up top and let's check out how it performs. Hey guys, and that's about it. That is a parallel dual coil build. Of course, again, I repeat, do not use 23 gauge as a parallel ever. If you're a beginner, I just use 23 gauge so you guys can clearly see the wires while I'm twisting it. Because if I use a 26 or 28, which is much preferred, you won't be able to see it because the wire is so thin. That is the only reason I use the 23 gauge, okay? This is an extremely low build, not for beginners. So use 26 gauge or 28 gauge wire when you're doing parallels. Some can use 24, but it'll take a lot more wraps than just 5 wraps. Now, the test fire. Wow, just As you guys can see, parallel coils, they perform really well. Using 26 gauge or 28 gauge, depends on you. Always check your ohm reader. I don't have an ohm reader. I know what I'm doing. This is a 0.11 coil. I've been doing this for a long time. But if you're a beginner, put it on your regulated mod. Check it before you go back to your mechanical. Or if you're using a regulated mod on its own, it's going to tell you what ohm reading you're at. Okay? So much clouds. So much clouds. Okay guys, that is the parallel build on a 3.5 millimeter guide. Okay, I've explained the Ohm's law. That is a basic build for clouds. Later on, I'll make more videos on a little bit more difficult builds like quad coils, triple coils. Perfectly fine. We will get to that. But for now, parallels. So you can see they do perform. They do perform really well. They get a lot of flavor because you're using a lot of coil surface against your wicking surface. So they will provide a lot of flavor and a lot of clouds. Okay? For the beginners that are looking for a lot of flavor and just have like the regular 26 gauge or 28 gauge at home, you don't know what to do with it. Now you know you can do it as a parallel. Okay? The parallels, they split your they split your ohms by the number of wires that you use. So if you use 3 parallels, your ohms will be lower. 4 parallels, even lower. 2 parallels, like two plies, that should be perfect for you guys at 26 gauge. If you're going to do like 3, 4, maybe use a higher gauge wire, like 28 gauge and more wraps, okay? Everything comes down to practice. Don't stress it. Don't stress it too much, okay? Everything comes down to practice. Just keep practicing, practicing, practicing. No one gets it perfect on the first try. No one gets it perfect on the first try. Just keep on practicing. Use a regulated mod. Never use a mechanical mod if you're still practicing. I am a professional. Again, I repeat, I am a professional. Do not try this on a mech mod immediately. Go for a regulated mod or an ohm reader before you put it on a mech mod. Do not, I cannot stress this enough, do not go directly on a mech mod. I did it because I'm a professional. Okay? I hope we understand. I hope we have that understanding. Okay? Between you guys and me, it's your boy Earl. See you in the next video. Peace out.